interviewing them. And Pastor, they've moved from, we'll talk about this today, but they moved from Houston and to be here and help Generation Church. But shortly after they moved here, Pastor DeJuan got that diagnosis, and then Pastor Denise, and they were helping in Houston. So they've been kind of touch and go. Obviously, I think most of us in here, everybody in here, I think, knows that they are, Charles is their son, and Erica, daughter-in-law, daughter-in-love. And they know, that's not right. We know that they've been in ministry and all that, and you probably heard a little bit of things. You've heard Charles; he's spoken up here quite a bit, exhorted, preached on Sundays, and all that good stuff. Erica is the administrative in church, so you know those things. But we don't really know, because they've been touch and go a lot. We don't really know their history and where they come from and all that God has done in them. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So as you guys come on up. You can give him a round of applause if you'd like. It seems appropriate to fill the silence here. I wanted to set the precedence here with the word. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to sit so that I don't get too crazy. But this is a verse, actually, that's spoken to Crystal and I that we are holding constantly before the Lord and all that He's brought us through. But this is, and this actually fits perfectly with communion, because what is communion about? Remembering, right? Remembering what the Lord did and remembering what Jesus did for us, right? So here in Deuteronomy chapter 8, if you are able to get to it on the screen, that would be fantastic. But if not, then please open your Bibles. This is good stuff. You want to be able to see this. Here in Deuteronomy 8, we are jumping into the middle of basically a really long sermon that the Lord gave to Moses to speak to the Israelites. So this is the Lord to the Israelites through a man. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And Moses is talking to the Israelites basically about what the Lord has done. He brought them out of Egypt, right? And what is Egypt? It is a type and symbol of the world system, slavery, where the Israelites, the Jews, were being beaten, whipped, treated horrendously, so much so that their spirits were broken. Basically, they were building Egypt on a broken heart. And that's exactly the picture that it says in when you open up the book in Exodus chapter 1. That's the picture that's going through. And the Lord, through a bunch of amazing miracles, like in a big, big way, like theatrically, rescued the Israelites, led them to Himself, and this is where we pick it up, where they are meeting with Him, essentially face to face, through God's word, through Moses. Okay? So, Deuteronomy chapter 8, it says, picking up in verse 6, I'm going to read this out of the New King James Version. It says, "Therefore, you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, to walk in His ways and to fear Him, not to be afraid of Him, but to respect Him, to be in awe of Him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land." Say, good land. The Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs that flow out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing. Say, lack nothing. A land in whose stones are iron and of whose hills copper. He's basically describing to them, and again, this is the Lord talking to the Israelites. He is describing to them a paradise, their own personal paradise on earth. He's not talking about heaven. I'm not leading you into heaven here. I'm leading you to a physical place on earth in which you will lack nothing. Verse 10, "When you have eaten and are full," say, when you have eaten and are full, "then you shall bless the Lord your God." When will we bless the Lord our God? When we have eaten and are full. Isn't that so good and such the heart of the Father? It blesses Him when we're full. It blesses Him when we lack nothing. It blesses Him when we have plenty on the table. It blesses the Lord when we're in abundance. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. Verse 11, beware. This is where our ears should perk up. Beware that you do not forget. Say, do not forget. The Lord your God by not keeping his commandments. In other words, his word. Yes, this is applicably right here. All they have right now is the 10 Commandments written down. But we have the virtue of being able to zoom out a little bit, and we've got the fullness of his word. So in context, we can still say, keeping his word, keeping his law, his commandment, what proceeds out of his mouth is recorded all in this. When you have eaten, slow down. Verse 11, beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you today, lest when you have eaten, say when you have eaten, when you are full, and you've built beautiful houses, dwell in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, in which were fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty land, where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, that he might humble you and that he might test you, to do good to you in the end. Sorry. To do good to you in the end. Verse 17, then you say in your heart, my power and my might, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth. That's what he's saying to beware of. So through the passage of time, he's saying, beware that you do not forget that I filled your tables. I plowed your fields. I built your houses. I led you to this land. I delivered you from the world system. I delivered you from the serpents. And what happened in that story? They were healed miraculously. They were literally dying. People were dying around them. And he provided a way to look up at the serpent, and they were saved instantly as soon as they looked up at the serpent, which is a type and shadow of Jesus. He is saying, I did this. I rescued you. That's part of Generation Church's vision, to rescue. I rescued you out of the land of Egypt. Reading verse 17 again, then you might say in your heart, my power and might of my hand have gained me this wealth. He is saying, if we don't keep these things before us, then we're in danger of taking credit for what the Lord has done. And if we're going to take credit for what the Lord has done, then we're responsible to keep doing it. And that's not going to happen. We're going to lose it real fast. Verse 18, this is where we're going to end, and we're going to jump into this. And you shall remember, say remember. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. So even in his promise to us, and this is a good thing. You could read this and be like, oh, but Lord, I thought you loved me. He does love you, but it's not about you. It's about it's about the covenant that he established with his fathers. So we can take this and say, it is about the covenant that he established with who? Jesus. He did this with Jesus, and so he's going to prosper us because he established that covenant through Jesus. It's not about us. That means it doesn't matter how much we mess up. It's because of Jesus that we can have this increase that he's brought to us. So, with that precedent, we're going to talk about their testimony and where they came from. Pastor Denise, as I said, her heart was just to get to know, almost reintroduce Charles and Erica, where they came from, their ministry experience, their background a little bit, how they met, how they their marriage in the beginning to now, and all that good stuff. Did you want to say anything? No, you go ahead. It's questions, right? You want me to ask this first question? Okay, all right. Okay, so with that being said, how did you guys meet? Microphone's right there. It's got to be on. It is on.
It is. We met at Go Ministries. It's pretty...
Okay, can you explain what Go Ministries is?
Oh, yeah, of course. Go Ministries is a discipleship program that is in Shreveport, Louisiana, was in Shreveport, Louisiana. And so he went to be a intern, and I just went to be a good old first year. And that was not a dig, by the way. But yeah, I went when I was 17, and we met, and we didn't talk at all the whole time. And then I went to another discipleship program and helped my brother there, and we started talking from there.
So, Charles, what did you do in Go? And how long were you in Go?
Yeah, like 5 years. So I guess, when we had met, I had taken like a good 5 years off of relationships entirely because I just knew I didn't know how to do them right. Like, when your relationship is like complete turmoil, at least I hope you know. And you're like, I don't know how to do this in the right way. And so I took, I think 24 or 23 to 29, and I didn't talk to a single girl. No relationship, no platonic relationships, huh? 28, yeah. I kind of just make the numbers up. I know it's like 4 to 5, but it sounds more accurate if I have some. So, yeah, I just took a lot of time off. I talked to one lady for 2 weeks before her for a very short period of time. And I remember I was valeting at the time, and I was like, I just really don't think this is it. So I cut that off. Maybe a week and a half later, I had, seen her around and about. I talked to the Lord, prayed about it, and I was like, is this the one? I really felt like it was. And then I just opened up a relationship with her. I think we got married 8 months later. What's a real number? So, yeah, the rest is history. I guess the encouragement is, don't do it if you don't know how to.
What were your first impressions of each other?
She's cute. To be honest,
Oh.
yeah, well, I wasn't talking to girls, so there was no personality to really add to the picture. So I didn't really know her at that point because I wasn't talking to girls. Like, I was at Go Ministries the first and second year. You literally can't have platonic relationships with women. So I didn't know her at all. I literally just knew her externally, her serving, her around. So really, she was just a cute girl at that point. So really, after like 4 or 5 years, I had begun to, get to know her at that point. So, it was pretty surface.
What about you, Erica? First
I thought
impressions?
he was really cool.
Oh.
He was like there was a specific season where Go Ministries did what's called dinner theater, and it's basically just a fundraiser for the ministry, and you do a play. And he was doing he was the main role. He was doing all the media stuff. He was shooting, also acting, and serving really well. And he did it with a super grace. He was just going through it and doing a wonderful job. So I just thought he was really cool. I thought he was intriguing because he didn't talk to us. Except for that one time when I did talk to him, I thought that he never wanted to talk to me again, and so.
Oh, what we need details.
Really...
No, we need details.
He basically, I went up to him because it was a really silly thing, but someone had messaged me in Spanish and asked if they could cancel their Apple subscription, and I thought it was super funny for some reason. And so he liked technology, and I was like, Charles likes technology. He'll think this is really funny. And so I walked up to him and I was like, hey, can I tell you something funny? And he was like, yeah, but just so you know, when people usually say they think something's funny, I don't think it's very funny. And I was like, okay, can I still tell you? And he was like, yeah. So I told him, and he goes, and he walks away. And I was like, Charles hates me, so I will not be talking to him again. But then I needed help with a Kidman computer. I'm really not good with computers. And I was like, if you have literally 5 seconds, could you help me figure out why this computer died? And he was like, yeah, of course. So we took 45 minutes, and he helped me. And it was a great convo. So that was the next impression.
And what did you do in Go? And how many years were you in Go?
I was there 2 years. The first year I focused on kids ministry and kind of just serving there, which was wonderful. And then the next year I was on the road and did worship and drama while also still doing kids ministry when we were back at campus.
So if you guys had one takeaway from Go in each of your lives, what would it be?
It's really crazy. Do you know right off the top?
There's quite a few things, but okay, yeah. I think the thing that has continued throughout is just living in excellence. to be honest, there's a lot of spiritual things that I was taught that didn't come, like, it was like there and I heard it and I was like, that's so good. And then it was not applicable or something that I really stepped into until years later. But serving and excellence and being a good friend, I think, are the things that I've carried through. Like having, I mean, we met, but having like my best friends in my life coming from Go Ministries is just the thing that I'm most thankful for.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, you know, that you pick up at Go. I think probably the most pragmatic was being alone with God. And I don't know, like sometimes in the quiet, people will fill that moment with something else besides the Lord. And this is like kind of esoteric and hard to explain. But it says when you pray, go into the private and close the door behind you, and he who sees in private will reward you in public.